Y'all, the Lord called me out and I was not ready. Hey friends, welcome back to the Truth Be Told podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Alexis Monet Howell, and I do faith-based content here on the podcast. As you can probably tell by the title, we are getting into it, y'all. The Lord called me out and I was not ready. I was so not ready, but I'm grateful that he called me out, told me what he did so that I can get back on the right track. And I want to share this with you guys so that if the Lord calls you out, you know that you're not alone and that there is a reason behind him calling us out. So without further ado, let's get into it. My sister got married in December to the love of her life. And while we ended up going to Las Vegas. That's where they wanted to get married. And while we were there, of course we did some touring, okay? Like, we're not just gonna go over there and fly to the West Coast and not tour and see what everything's all about. So we walked the strip and we went into different hotels and looked at the different shops, and it was just a fun time. And I remember first day when we landed early that morning, and we had plenty of time to just go and sightsee. So while we were out, there was just so much to see, not only like the glory of the hotels and the different statues that they had, but also the not so glorious parts of Las Vegas. We saw a lot of homelessness and a lot of open air type situations. I'll put it that way. But what I had in my heart was soon exposed in a way that I was not ready for. And what I mean by that is, as we're walking, we see different types of people doing different types of things in their own way. And there was so much judgment in my heart toward these people. Whether they were wearing a certain type of attire or whether they were participating in some sort of act, I was like, looking down at them. I was frowning at them, really, in my heart, not in my face, but in my heart, toward people that were doing whatever they were doing at the moment. And the Lord, as we're walking, I think it was like as we were walking, the Lord was like, instead of judging them, pray for them. And in that moment, the Lord was like, you don't have any right to come to the West Coast and look down on the people, the same exact people that He created. And He was right. And I felt so bad. I'm so thankful, though, that the Lord called me out. It's in His love that He calls us out so that we can get back on the right track. So after the Lord calling me out, telling me to no longer judge, but rather pray for them, what was simply a vacation to celebrate my sister became a mission field for me and my family for these people. Some people probably have never been prayed over before, and we had the opportunity to pray over them as we passed them by and pray over them as we saw them, and either if they were in the casinos or if they were on the street corner or if they were walking to and fro. Like, we were able to just pray over them and actually have that moment to surrender them to the Lord if they've never been surrendered to the Lord before. And so it was an amazing experience that came from a good call out from the Lord. And I think back to when my mom and I were riding and she mentioned it. It was out of the blue, really, that she mentioned it, but it came back to me when we were in Vegas. But my mom was like, you know how we see people when we go by? We should just really pray for them, And it was this awareness of, instead of me talking about how this person dresses, let me pray that she would find her worth and identity in the Lord and know that the clothing that she puts on doesn't have to be tight and short, but it can be comfortable and modest. Like, people don't know, most people don't know the way that they should live. And now that you and I as believers know how we should live and know that life is found in the Lord, we have the opportunity, the privilege, and the command to pray for and guide others to the Lord. So while I was in Vegas and while I'm here at home, we are to love on these people who don't know the way by praying for them and hoping for the best for them and surrendering them to the Lord so that they can walk out everything that the Lord has for them, just like we're walking out everything that the Lord has for us. So if you found yourself judging a particular group or judging a particular person based off of whatever they're wearing, doing, saying, instead of taking that and being upset, use that as a way to actually pray for them to find the different path, which is to find the Lord and to walk in freedom, to change their hearts and their outlook and their perspective and their words and their life for the glory of God and for the good of them and others. I think a lot of times we're so quick to judge, I know I am, than to love. And the Lord has encouraged me by calling me out, and I think He's encouraging you as well. Then instead of judging, let's love them by praying for them, by leading them to the Lord, by surrendering them to God and letting Him do the rest. It is a simple, practical, yet powerful thing we can do. Before we judge, let's love and let's lead them to the Lord, praying for them in our hearts, surrendering them to the Lord, and hoping and wishing and praying for the best for them, that they would walk with the Lord as well. This is just a short thing on how the Lord called me out. Maybe the Lord's calling you out right now through this podcast episode. But the reason that the Lord calls us out is to get us back on the right track and taking what is meant for evil and turning it for good and taking that judgment and making it a mission field. So now you and I have a calling on our life to no longer do what we used to do in judging folks or gossiping about people, but rather we're here to pray for them and wish them nothing but the best, because somebody prayed for you and somebody wanted the best for you. Someone that was maybe in your family, your friend group, or a complete stranger. And I want you and I to be that for someone else. I hope this encourages you. I hope this guides you back on the right track if you've gotten off track for a little bit. I love y'all so much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.